I guess I gotta go into rant mode. We're talking about Star Trek Discovery and Picard and Kurtzman Trek. Hello everyone, I am mecharandom42, the one, the only, the original, your favorite YouTube consumer advocate harpy. It is 0 degrees out. Why am I in the corset? Because we're in the middle of a live stream and you guys demanded it. It is also Valentine's Day. So hopefully, we'll do a good enough job satisfying everybody's urges and feelings and needs for me to make Star Trek submit to our whims, to our wills, to our whims. And now that Star Trek has been very, very, very bad lately, I think we have to punish it. Yes, we do. Oh, yeah. It's 0 degrees, so we're covering up. It deserves it, though. It really, really does. It has taken something that was some stance, some point, some way in the future we will have been and already will be solving and evolving past all of this istophobia crap, we will be evolved past all of this separation, by all of this divisionist crap, because there's aliens out there. And aliens don't understand why. And they don't see us as, well, why does this one hate this one based on how they look? They don't understand because we all look the same to aliens. That's why. And if people actually understood one little thing outside their own little selfish, narcissistic need to see themselves represented on screen because marketing told them to. Marketing people somewhere decided, hey, we can appeal to people's narcissism by saying that they're seeing themselves on screen. By pulling and plucking the most random stereotype out of the ether for them to exploit and use based on their stereotype, based on their difference, based on their diversity. And this is why Star Trek should be ashamed of de-evolving into what they're presenting on screen right now. With this walking, talking stereotype of a character that they like to call Raffi. I'm not even going to get into the they, them, gender binary pronoun stereotype characters that they have over on Discovery. That's videos we've already ranted at. We did when we reviewed it. Now they have to go out of their way and make an article. They're making an article from StarTrek.com. For some viewers, Raffi's story is all too familiar because you're exploiting the stereotype. That's why. Star Trek was in the future where money didn't matter. Things like that don't happen. People aren't living in this upper class versus lower class society. Everybody has everything that they need because replicators exist. We have enough energy in the future to actually make pretty much transportation, food, resources, energy, power, everything you need. You don't need to live poor in a fucking trailer in Vasquez Rocks, smoking whatever hallucinogenic space weed that they mentioned.
Smoke weed every day.
And blaming Picard for sitting there in his fine vineyard looking down on her because she got fired for following orders and stuff, because that's not even how Starfleet would work. You don't get fired for following the orders of your captain. All right, you say my captain gave an order, I was following orders, and then you get off scot-fucking-free. But no, they don't understand the military. They don't understand the difference between how people wouldn't feel oppressed. People aren't oppressed. People don't fucking hold grudges for oppressions that happened hundreds and hundreds of years in the past, or thousands of years in the past. People really, really understood that, hey, once the aliens landed, that made the whole universe see from a different perspective. That made them see that, hey, we are all one. We are all of one planet. We have far more things that we have in common than that separate us. We have far more things to bind us together when you really, really think about it, because you have aliens out there who might not even be made of the same matter that we're made of. You have aliens in other dimensions. You have aliens who exist in space and hump the ship. All right, you have other things out there, and it doesn't matter if your shade is a little different than the other ones, and it doesn't matter if you look a little different, and it does, like, that's beside the point. It doesn't matter if you don't feel particularly like a woman or a man. Those sort of things are less important than evolving your brain, your mind, your creativity, your thoughts, following your dreams, passions, goals, pursuits. If you want to be a musician in Star Trek land. If you want to be a chef, be a chef. They have courses. They have ways to do these things. All you have to do is you have to make sure you apply and commit and get off your butt, because you don't want for anything in this society. You don't need to worry about all this stuff. And it's great when you have ways to do that, where finally you have so many resources. You have ways to make food appear. You have ways to make clothing appear. You have no need for housing. You have no need for no need to find fresh water. It's already there for you. You have no need to strive and work just to pay for your housing. That's already there. And it might seem communistic when you think about it. It might seem that way. But it is not, because this is the future. This is the future. And they have found ways to make that happen in the future, which we do not have at our fingertips right now. We do not have infinite power and resources. We do not have homelessness solved. We do not have all of these things solved as a starting point. And they forgot that they already did in Star Trek. Not only that, they had to break the way Star Trek worked to tell their story of Picard, where it was all Picard, white man, bad. Hey, Picard's a white man. He's bad because he's a white man. And he's going around apologizing for things that were never an issue in real Star Trek. No, they were only in the fucking JJ ones. They're only in the JJ ones where people are superficial and narcissistic and hateful and divisionist. Because guess what? Once aliens landed, you realized that you weren't that fucking special. Your little difference, your little thing, your little quirk, your little diversity point wasn't that fucking special when you got aliens with no genders. You got aliens with 3 genders. You've got more ways for you to feel less and less unique and special in the universe the more you open your goddamn minds to it and your eyes to it. But that is not the case with modern day Kurtzman Trek. No, it is not. This is the modern day Kurtzman Trek is all set and focused on these little things that the marketing people like to use against you to divide you, separate you, categorize you, shuffle you, herd you into these little separated and sifted categories. Well, if you liked Star Trek Discovery, here's who you voted for, here's what you believe in, here's how much money you make, here's what you identify as. And if you don't like Star Trek Discovery and Kurtzman era Trek, then you're clearly an istinophobe and you support this guy and you're this and this and this. Which isn't the case. And it broke their system when we called it out. Also, Matt G, 149 Super Chat. Thank you so much. It's a unicorn. Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Now, should we read this article? I've been ranting for 10 minutes before I even read the article. How the writers in Star Trek Picard managed to shine a light on something many black women have gone through themselves. Except not in the Star Trek universe. No. There was a perfect scene where in Star Trek land, Space President Lincoln, I guess, he makes a remark to Lieutenant Uhura, and he uses a term where he says, "Oh, I'm sorry if I offended you. This term was used to describe people as property in my day."
You see, in our century, we've learned not to fear words.
And I'm sorry if it meant to, or if you interpreted it as that. I didn't mean any ill intent. And she was confused as to why he thought she would be offended by it. Because that's how Star Trek land is in the future, where people are confused why you would be offended by a name somebody calls you. They would be confused by it. Why would I be offended by that? I have more self-esteem and self-confidence than the label that I place upon myself to show how oppressed. And that's the thing. People always like to say, "Oh, you guys are trying so hard to be oppressed. You're awfully trying hard to be oppressed." If you're, somebody who looks like me and has to drop the LGBTQ card anytime you have to talk about something with these people on Twitter. I don't want to be oppressed. That's the thing. I don't want to have to use that. I want to be allowed to speak my mind about LGBTQ, about race, about sex, about gender, about feminism, about masculinity. I want to be able to talk about these things without qualifying it, without having to drop a token, a Wokemon point, because nobody wants to be oppressed. Did you hear me? Except for these little people on Twitter who use that against each other just to, as their, it's a game. It's a game. How many people can they cancel? How many people can we pretend that we're offended by today? Because in reality, if they were actually offended by it, they would be a little less celebratory when they ban people. If they were actually offended by it, they would want to help people change their minds instead of just ban and cancel and bury and demonize and fire people. They would be a little bit more willing to say, hey, here's how we can solve it. Hey, this is a problem. Okay, it's a problem. How do we solve it? All right. So you have no suggestions, no solutions, no way to actually solve it. That just tells me that you don't want to. That just tells me that you get more when it's not solved. That you get more of a reward when it isn't solved, which is actually the antithesis of what we're trying to have here. How the writers of Picard managed to shine a light by making her a walking, talking stereotype. This woman, all you need to know about this character, she is a person who lives in a trailer out at Vasquez Rocks, is bitter at Picard for having more than she does. She uses hallucinogenic space. I'm not even going to read their article. I don't care what argument they have. It's just going to be a bunch of bullshit and nonsense. And I've already ranted about this for 12 minutes. Maybe we'll skim. Oh, it's a he. It's a Christopher. It's a he, him. And so what are you doing writing about a black woman, Christopher, if you're not a woman, if you're not a black woman, right? Are those the Wokemon rules for the day? But this character is a space drug. They also exploit her use of illegal and underhanded and shady things to bribe their way onto a planet, talk their way into getting let into a planet. Letting onto a planet, basically a casino planet. So they exploit her. They exploit her drug addictions. She's a deadbeat mother as well, so her son has nothing to do with her because she's basically portrayed as a deadbeat. She's portrayed as a junkie. She's portrayed as somebody whose life really isn't very glorious, and it doesn't really seem like they really got the memo about how Earth was supposed to be a paradise, and you don't really want for things. Yeah, Jean-Luc's got a vineyard. Why don't you go and make a vineyard? What's stopping you? You're in Star Trek lands. Surely you would have the ability. You would be able to say, hey, is there a land I can have to go and make a vineyard? And if there isn't, say, hey, I'm a Starfleet officer. I would like to retire. Where can I set up a vineyard? And they would probably say, hey, you can colonize this planet if you want to be a part of this thing. And that's how you would have a vineyard if you wanted one of your own. You find land. Somehow you negotiate a treaty for some land. You work the land yourself. You set up, because guess what? You're going to be able to just get the supplies. You're going to be able to just have them because they can be replicated. Energy is an easy thing to have in the future. Everything's probably solar powered, nuclear powered, warp powered, every sort of power under the sun. Literally under the sun. You wouldn't need anything. You wouldn't have the issue. You wouldn't be sitting there feeling sorry for yourself like a depressed single mother whose son won't talk to her. Throughout 2020, and which we would have been evolved by Star Trek times, so they wouldn't have even been an issue. Yada yada. I don't even want to read this. I don't want to read this. I think I made my point. It's basically, there she is smoking her space weed. Unless this is going to tell me why this is offensive as being a walking, talking stereotype, then I don't think we need to read this article. If they're going to justify showcasing these struggles and strifes by breaking the way the show had been already written and set up, by changing the canon of the show to where they would allow somebody to be a quote-unquote strong and resilient drug addict feeling sorry for herself in a trailer in Vasquez Rocks, then great. You want to do you go right ahead. That's all this is saying. That's all it's just saying. Oh, feel guilty, feel guilty. Why? Because I envision better for people. I'm not going to feel guilty. I didn't do anything to harm anybody. I'm not responsible for your life choices. And in Star Trek land, you wouldn't be living like this anyway. You broke the show to tell a story that doesn't work in the show. Therefore, your show is shit and bad and should feel bad. I am going to go back to my live chat. Don't you guys go anywhere. That's about all I have to say about that Star Trek Raffi article. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!
Smoke weed every day.